Hi everyone, I am so excited to see you. It is not a coincidence that you and I are sharing this moment right now. Do you know I've been working as a medium for over 25 years, and my eyes are so wide open right now and focused on this deep inner need of an awakening. Like life is consciously connecting to all that is. So I've decided to create the Lighter Side Network, where each show and each host reminds us how the everyday meets the extraordinary. Be it in the realm of mindfulness and healthy living, having an empowered and authentic life with humor, trusting your intuition and communicating with beyond, energy healing and releasing unconscious obstacles, astrology, living in your joy and truth, and so much more. Join us as we share our knowledge and experiences with you. We're going to have so much fun.
Hi everybody, my name is Laura Boone.
Hi, my name is Ursula Lentini.
Hey everyone, I'm Thershna Patel.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Karin.
Join me on my show.
Are you ready?
Only on the Lighter Side Network.
Only on the Lighter Side Network.
The Lighter Side Network, where the everyday meets the extraordinary. That's us. Hi Lumineers, welcome back to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium, and today we're going to talk about sound, everything sound. In fact, we have sound bath expert Danielle Hall here with us today, and she owns Sound Embrace. But before we dive into all that goodness, I have a few housekeeping notes from you. So, for all you dreamers out there, you guys have been asking for classes, material, in person, online. It's all out there. It's on jamiebutlermedium.com. Head over there and check it out. We'd love to see you. We even have Luma Summit coming fall of 2017 here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you want to be a part of it, let us know. Email us at events@jamiebutlermedium.com. That goes to Colleen, by the way, and she's very excited. I just gave out her email. She's so happy.
I am. I love it.
She loves it. She loves email. We get a lot of it, and we appreciate it. And we like to respond to everybody, so be patient as we're reading them, because we do want to get to you. We're not ignoring anyone. We love you, Lumineers. Okay, getting into all of this, but mostly this. Welcome, Danielle Hall, to the Lighter Side Show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And I love that we're just in this total goofy, giggly.
It's true. We can blame that on Jessie.
It's all Jesse's fault.
Yes.
Sorry.
You can email Colleen, though. She'll relay any messages that you have.
Oh my God, we're about to have so much fun. Because I have to confess to you guys out there, I've been hiding in the kitchen and roaming away from her so that I didn't learn more about her, because I have so many questions I want to ask you that I knew I wouldn't be able to contain them, and I want to cover so much. First of all, I want to know, can you explain what do you do? What is your passion? What is this? What is this?
What is sound healing? Sound healing is, so when I introduce myself, I usually say that I create sound experiences for personal transformation and growth. And then I like hook people in that way. But
it's a good elevator speech.
Yeah, I've worked on that a little bit. Especially since this is such a considered an esoteric, weird thing. It's not really a mainstream.
Okay, which is a little weird. Like, sound is not new.
Right.
Okay.
It's very ancient. I mean, very ancient practices and how to use sound for healing and all over the world. But what sound healing is in general is creating the opportunity for the body to go into its own natural healing state through sound and vibration. So that's what sound healing is. You may hear it as being told as, or being called sound healing, vibroacoustic therapy, sound therapy. There are a lot of names that people give it to try to, we're all really trying to make it accessible to people and show the validity of it.
I think what might help is, we discussed it briefly before the cameras were rolling. I think a lot of us, especially in the States, when we hear the word healing, we think that wherever the source is, that's the part that's doing the healing or providing the healing for us, when really, when you're talking about it, it is you are there providing the sound, but the healing is happening within the receiver. The receiver is responsible for it, not the source of the sound.
Exactly. I'm just the facilitator.
I love that.
I guide you into this cocoon of vulnerability, of letting go, release, relax.
You call it a sound bath.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't heard that before.
So there are a lot of different tools in sound healing. We have tuning forks, we have quartz crystal bowls, gongs, didgeridoos, drums, shakers. Anything that makes a sound could be applied in a therapeutic way to create change and shift in the body, the mind, the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the spiritual body.
Just, can you say that one more time? Because I'm massively in love with that.
The physical body, the mental body,
yes,
the emotional body,
there it is,
and the spiritual body.
Oh my God.
And so a sound bath situation would be where a client or a group of people would come, lay down in Shavasana. Who doesn't like to just lay down and do nothing? And you're basically taking in the sounds that are building and evolving, essentially washing over your body.
Oh, wow.
So it might feel like the sounds are coming from the outside in or from the inside out. Some people feel it just one side of their body versus the other, or just in their head. It's fascinating. Or you might feel it as an energetic release in the body. So that could be one form of how sound healing is being presented to somebody. It could be tuning fork therapy, where with weighted tuning forks, these are non-weighted tuning forks. So weighted tuning forks have a little bit of a weight.
It's like a disc.
Yeah, they're like these little round discs that sit on the two ends here, and then that would actually be put on a stress point of the body to help relieve tension.
Okay, but I recently built the set here at I love building.
Yes.
And I ended up breaking a finger. Well, I hurt it pretty bad, and I went to the doctor. The doctor pulled out one of these tuning forks, and I was like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with that? That's neat." And clocked it and was like, "Oh, put it to my skin." And I was like, "Oh, that's lovely." She goes, "We're gonna find out if it's broken." She clocked it again, laid it on my finger. I thought I was going to die. That hurt so bad. And she goes, "Yeah, it's broken.
Yeah.
No x-rays needed, nothing." So I recently broke my toe. And I went to her and I was like, "Listen, and she looked at it and she goes, 'That's broken.' And I'm like, 'Well, it's probably pulled. If you could just put it back into place.' And she goes, 'Do you want me to get my tuning forks?' And I went, No, it's fine. You're right, it's broken." I was like, "Tape it, do something." So those things,
they're powerful.
Yes, Lumineers, when you're listening to this and you're like, "Oh yeah, a little tuning fork, oh, a little sound, a little touch." Sound and vibration is the deepest form of touch, and it is intense.
Yeah.
And it hurt. It was incredible.
And with tuning forks, that's such a great example of one, being able to check to see if a bone is broken, but also placing a weighted tuning fork a little bit away from the brokenness.
Yes.
Can actually cultivate blood flow and into places like the knee that have a hard time having getting blood flow. Or I talked a little bit about the muscle tension, and just placing one in on a sore muscle or tight muscle can help to release that muscle and retrain that muscle.
Oh, I need that for my husband.
Oh,
yeah. You need to tell me which one. Hit that thing.
Weighted all the way. The non-weighted are more for like the etheric body and helping with balancing the left and the right brain.
Oh, that's nice to know. I didn't know the difference. Well, it's weighted, physical. These are better for the subtle light energy body.
Exactly.
Oh, that's good. Do you know one of my favorite facts about cats? What? We're talking about cats?
Are we going to talk about the cat purr?
It's still sound.
Are we going to talk about the cat purr?
Their purr builds bone.
Yes.
Isn't it incredible? Did you read about that?
It's
scientists and doctors got together and created this sound vibrational disc to put on people who have osteoporosis or broken bones and they're not healing. And it's a kitten purr, and it's rebuilding bone mass. It's insane.
If you have any sound healing music, I bet you there is the cat purr frequency in there.
Wait, okay. Sound healing music. So, in my eyes, I don't know much about this. I know like tidbits of like what I'm sharing, but it doesn't go really deeper than that. Like an average song, just something we hear on the radio that we connect to. Can that be sound healing for us? Or are there specific, like you make the song this way or that music this way, and this is what it's for?
That's an awesome question. So yes, all sound has an effect on us in many different ways. You will listen to a song and it might make you cry because it reminds you or brings up a memory. I use music to get amped up for my workout, or to get excited about something, or to chill out. Specifically with sound healing music, there are a couple different ways that it can be made. One way is, and what I find with a sound bath situation, is that you're not really going to find a beat. So, and this is really important because, okay, you're getting how I'm clapping, and you're getting the rhythm. And so with regular music on the radio, it has a beat.
Yep.
And usually you can even hear a song for the first time and kind of get what's going to come next.
Yes, you can.
And with sound healing music, let me finish this thought. So we can even turn off the beat and we know what the next thing's going to come. Our primordial brain is still on, our fight or flight, that protective part of our brains, that calculates the next move or the next thing that's happening to save us, is calculating and is turned on to tell us, oh, the next beat, it's going to be
coming.
this. Oh man, there's drums. Okay, I adapted to it. Okay, got it. So with sound healing music, there's not this beat. It's more of this, or in the way that I play with, for sound baths. And what that does, it's almost like a brain scramble.
So you're basically saying it's jazz?
Oh, that's definitely a brain scramble. Okay, but that revs up and for some people can actually give you a lot of anxiety if your brain can't figure out what that next sound or beat's going to be. Yeah. So for some people, jazz creates a lot of anxiety. For other people, they're like, they get it. Their body can settle into it. Sound healing music is more of this, with the quartz crystal bowls, for example, it's more of this kind of wow, 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 wow. It's not a predictable sound. So at some point, your primordial brain actually turns off and allows you to go into that theta brainwave state, which is that meditative state, or even allow you to get into delta, which is when your body goes into its natural healing functions.
So you just explained Colleen's gong high. Because before Danielle Hall came today, Colleen was explaining this moment in her life where she was high on gong.
It can happen. High on gong.
That makes sense.
Colleen only does gongs.
Everybody in the studio was like,
forms of sound healing.
She likes a good gong.
Lumineers, if you love what you're healing, please check out Danielle's website. That's at soundembrace.com. You can also find her on Facebook and Instagram with Sound Embrace Health. And you are a Twitter person. You tweet.
Also on the tweeting side of things.
All right, if you're a tweeter, you can find her at Sound Embrace. I have a friend who never says it right, and I have made fun of it so much because I adore it that it's pronounced wrong and used wrong that now I make it mine.
I do that too.
Like my mom says the Facebook and the...
My mom does too.
And the,
I know my mom's going to watch this.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
She's doing great.
Nothing but this.
But do go and research this. I mean, you offer private sessions, private sound baths. And you also do this other really cool thing. On her Facebook site, every Wednesday you go live
Yes.
for 5 minutes, and you provide a sound bath for the middle of the week, the middle of the day, and you kind of break it up. And that is at what time? Eastern Standard Time?
1 p.m.
1 p.m. 1 p.m.
Break up your
You
week.
want to follow her and subscribe so that you can get on that Facebook and listen to it. Because hopefully I might beg you to kind of stay after our talk today and show us a little how-to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're getting how-to.
You're going to feel the vibes.
Oh my God, I love it. So you were mentioning all the variations of sound therapy, sound healing, sound bath, and we have tuning forks and crystal balls. You said anything that provides sound. So for me, I know that sound comes in waves, and it's measured through frequencies or hertz or megahertz. And I was checking out as scientist today. Yes, sometimes I do read. And they were talking about that the body has a healthy frequency between 62 and 72 megahertz. And I thought that was pretty interesting, that science is now looking at the body and sound frequencies, and then also looking at frequencies before getting cancer or having candida, or even before death and dying. And they're finding that has different frequencies to it. So do you, through living it and being around it, find that certain frequencies are aligning with healthy bodies, or bodies with cancer or candida, or bodies who are having a hard time transitioning? I mean, do you go, oh, that note, that frequency, that this? Is there some intuitive quality you have, or do you have it all memorized like the scientist frequency list that they have?
So good. These questions.
What I love.
Like, like it.
I think it would be so cool if you were like, oh yes, you have a hurt tooth, let's grab C flat. And then, just, I feel like that is really plausible, that's real. I don't doubt it. I just don't have that recipe knowledge yet.
It's a really vast recipe knowledge. It's not something that I have all of these things committed to memory, but I do have this couple sheets of things that I can go and reference back to. Okay, 128 is the frequency to release nitric oxide in the body, which is a pain reliever. So I have a 128 tuning fork, and I'll place that on or around a part of the body that is feeling significant pain.
So when you're saying 128, that would be the frequency of the sound?
Yes.
Right, because earlier when she was laying these out, like, I know sound from piano lessons, and it's in the scale, C, D, flats and sharps, and you flip one over and you were like, oh yeah, 528, 123, and you had all these numbers for it, and I was like, oh, what is she doing? That's so cool. So like, you're looking at it specifically from frequency, not from the sound of the note. It's the same,
yes.
Isn't it? It's just done numerically. Numerically, is that a word? We got it down.
You got this. Okay. So it also comes back to intention. So I'm going to work with someone with PTSD differently than I'm going to work with somebody who has digestive issues, who has insomnia or anxiety. For example, someone with anxiety, it's best to have a sound healing session in the morning and not at night.
Oh, explain why.
It activates something in them that they will not be able to go to sleep. So if you're one of those people who have anxiety and you go to a sound bath event, you'll probably notice, they're usually in the evening, sound baths are, and you probably notice that you're just like hyper. What am I doing? I have so much energy. So what do you do with that frenetic energy that's just been released?
Not sleep.
Because with an anxiety, in this case, like with anxiety, you're kind of trying to tame it and trying to manage it all the time. And a sound bath can really just have all of that release, and now you have this like energy that you're just, I don't know what to do with. I get calls at like the next day of people who have experienced a sound bath, and it's like, I could not sleep. What did you do to me? I'm like, okay, let's talk about it.
Oh my God, I have so many questions. This is crazy. You will tell me if I'm just bombarding you and asking too much, right?
There's so much to really talk about. One thing that coming back to intention, I want to emphasize that our thoughts also are a frequency. And the example that I love to give is, this quartz crystal bowl is your brain. This striking wand is your thought. The thought hits your brain. And it sends frequencies throughout the whole body telling it what to do, how to act and how to react. We're going to stop that thought right there. And so what I want to say about that is, just as different ailments or diseases have their own frequency, so do our thoughts have their own frequency. And so a thought of something that's, I'm ugly, I'm not enough, that is a frequency that actually pulls the body in and contracts. And that usually contracts here in the lungs, the heart, the digestive system. Everything starts to come in and contract. But a thought of, I am enough, I am beautiful, I am worthy, these are all what a lot of people may have heard of as higher vibrational thoughts.
To me, it looks like shine. When I'm looking at somebody's energy that has that, their energy goes out and it shines.
Yeah, exactly. So we're being expansive, and that frequency is going out rather than pulling in and being contractive.
That's okay. We're making up words today.
I think we are. Did I just make it? It's just the day.
I knew exactly what you meant. I don't know if it's a real word either. So, same boat.
Contraction. You all know what I mean. Okay. And I really want, if nothing else sticks with people, I want that to be something that they really, that you get, because it's, you don't have quartz crystal bowls at home, or you might, because you're a luminary. Or you might not have a drum, and I forgot to talk about rhythm and entrainment, but that a drum can actually go into and entrain the brain too. And so that's how you can use rhythm to create certain
idea. I bet you guys have glasses at home, right? We totally work a little magic on some wine glasses, things like that, some sound healing on that.
Some sound healing on your glasses, fill it with different water levels.
Totally gonna get her to play with that later.
I've never tried that, actually. I'd love to try it.
We're doing it.
So all of these tools may not be accessible to someone right away, but if we can come back to an awareness of our thoughts and know that our thoughts have frequency, and that frequency has an effect on our overall physiology, on our mental state, our emotional state, our spiritual state, our physical state. Coming back to all four of those states, bodies. That would be really what's closest to my heart for you to get. If I'm able to talk and get the words out of my mouth. Okay.
When we look at experiencing sound healing, is there an age limit? Like, can infants or children, babies, can they experience this? Elderly, is it okay for them? And is it for anything? Headaches to broken toes to, you mentioned anxiety. I mean, is there sound embrace for people with cancer or going through chemo? Is it really that broad?
It is.
For real?
For reals.
Babies too?
Well, so what I would say first is, if you're in your first trimester of pregnancy, it is recommended that you do not go to a sound bath or have a sound session. You're developing some really awesomeness, cooking up some awesomeness in there, and we don't want to move any cells. We don't want to
shake them up.
After that first trimester, awesome. If you're having a healthy pregnancy, awesome. If you are prone to seizures, I would say
really
that your practitioner needs to know. especially quartz crystal bowls can actually create binaural beats, and sometimes those can trigger seizures. If you have thrombosis, which is the shedding of the lining of your nerves, that is also off limits. And your practitioner would definitely need to know, because a sound bath, for example, is like a massage on a cellular level.
Yeah.
It is getting things to move. It is moving things in your bloodstream. It's affecting your autonomic nervous system. It is flushing out some toxins. And, if you have thrombosis, unfortunately, intense sound can make something move and,
And cause
some
more inflammation than needed, probably.
or worse. Yeah.
That was the nicer
So,
part. Oh my God.
To focus on the positive side of it, though, as long as your practitioner knows and has an understanding really of how to use their instruments and the power of their instruments, then or what the instruments are capable of, then they'll know how to adapt to your ailment and know what instruments to play and what not to play. So someone with thrombosis, maybe I would go more towards something that's audible first.
I have a friend in New York City who
With
had a lot
headphones audible, excuse me.
it was a good visual.
Okay, good.
My girlfriend went to complementary therapy, and the woman pulled out her tuning forks. They were weighted, but she had a lot of nerve damage. And when she left that session, she felt good for like 15 minutes, and then she went into the worst flare-up ever. And my friend, had no idea that sound, vibration work was so deep and visceral and real and tangible. She just like, whatever. She thought the therapist was a little, out there. She was like, sure, go ahead and do it. It's probably not going to do anything.
A lot of us
And
are.
it rocked her
You
world.
kind of have to be.
So you're saying make sure
But-
your practitioner knows. Is there a course that you go through? Is there some kind of certification that people can look for? How do we find you good people? You're kind of lost in my world, aren't you? Or in the medium world. Like, we don't get certifications in
I
this
do have
area.
a certification.
You have a certification?
I have a certification in sound healing through the Sound and Consciousness Institute in San Francisco. And I would say that through that training, I gained a really great foundation in terms of how to use the instruments in certain ways. And before I got into this industry, before I got into sound healing, I was a huge skeptic of all of this.
You?
Oh. I'll tell you my beginnings in a minute, but I was a huge skeptic, but when I found sound healing, it somehow, the timing was right and it made sense to me on the scientific level of vibration, sound, frequency, how music on the radio affects us. All of that kind of just made sense to me. Yeah. But I walk into this school, and we're sitting on the floor. And I'm like, why are we sitting on the floor? I think we should be sitting in chairs at desks. I had that kind of mindset, and I don't know why they're burning incense, or I had no idea the power of essential oils and just even the frequency of scents and how those can be added to a sound healing session. It's all kind of it's all frequency, so it's part of it. But it was, I was the one definitely stuck out like a sore thumb because I didn't look like everybody else. I didn't know what Shanti was. I'm like, why are we namasteing? What's an om? And so I was just really curious about the information. And so I got to be kind of thrown into this whole other world and get some of these other spiritual aspects of things, which I think is really, really important when you're doing this work. There are also some sound healers that come in and are just more performers and don't really understand the spiritual and emotional aspects that come up in a sound healing session or know how to deal with it. And those types of things started to build later when I got my one-on-one practice. My sound healing school also didn't talk about physiology and anatomy, and that was something I had to seek out on my own and take classes on my own. And there are a lot of programs that don't. But I also think that it really depends on what you want to do in sound healing. I wanted to work when I got out of sound healing school. I wanted to work with people one-on-one, and I wanted to really make a difference in people's lives one-on-one. And so I got out and I'm really excited and like doing these things, and I'm like, but I don't really. Where are the kidneys? Where's the liver? Crap. I mean, luckily, as you probably teach as well, is the lessons that we learn, we usually get the people drawn to us from the lessons that we just learned. So for me, at that time, it was all about digestive issues and physical pain. And so it was a really easy stepping stone for me to, okay, small intestines, large intestines. Okay, how does all of that work? And really I really had to do a lot of my own homework outside of that class. I have not found a program yet.
Are you reading my mind? I was going to ask you if there are programs out there right now that kind of encompass those 4 bodies that you were talking about. It sounds like they're really good at the technique, but not explaining, like you said, the anatomy of it. So you'll be opening it up in a school when? How long?
2018.
You just put a year to it. Are you going to do it?
It's been in the works for a while, to bring in all of these elements and creating a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And the level 4 would be an actual certification. But it's a lot of information to compile together, and I'm just at the tip right now. But in terms of what I know that needs to be taught for someone who wants to take this work further.
Yeah, because this is real and intense, and it needs to have the respect that it deserves. And so many people who pull out a tuning fork don't. Look, we have the same problem.
We do.
Our tongue is like swelling.
I don't want to discount any of the schools that are out there. There's one in New York, I'm blanking on the name of it, that I just learned about, and they're doing some really great work out there. My school is really great as well. There's some really great classes that happen in Atlanta for you to get comfortable and learn the instruments. And, some organizations out there that make it easy for you to kind of get started.
So coming from out of the crowd, you definitely want to ask your practitioner kind of if they've studied the instruments.
Great question. What I would do if you're going into a one-on-one session with someone, I would ask, have you ever worked with anybody with my ailment or with cancer or with PTSD, whatever it is that's specifically going on with you. And I don't want to say not to go to them if they haven't, but I would ask a little bit more questions about do they have an understanding of the anatomy and
good communication enough for them to even do the research or talk to somebody else who's had it.
Yes.
I have another question now. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'm not bombarding you, but after sound bath, after sound relationship, how long does it stay with you? Or how long does it stay in your body? Or how long does it help encourage you to heal? Like whatever the terminology is.
Sure.
Is it like when I'm listening to Jessie tell me to get it together and get on stage? It kind of goes in one ear and,
Did you get an email? Did you get a text?
Yeah, like the how. So is sound like that? I thought you might like that, Jessie.
He's rolling his eyes.
He's the nicest guy ever,
It's
too.
such a cute rolling of the eyes. It's very loving.
Or is it like get into your body and just stick and stay and like reverberate everywhere? What do you tell people?
Whether you're in a one-on-one sound healing session or you're going
Facebook
to
on Wednesdays for 5 minutes.
Exactly. That can also create a lot of change. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Or you're going to a group sound bath somewhere. There are a lot of things that can happen. So let's just talk about sound baths in general, because that seems to be the most accessible way for people to go and experience a sound healing session. It's a group of people who get to go lay down, bring your yoga mat, blanket, get cozy, lay down, close your eyes, and take in the sounds. And so I explained a little bit earlier that you might feel the sounds kind of come in one side of the body or the other, from the outside in or the inside out. You might see colors. You might see shapes. You might just pass out. There's always one person who passes out. And I love you. Even if you're the snorer. It's good. It's good. It makes me feel great. So please, if you are that person, please know, like, every time, I love you. Yes. Like, they get it. They're getting it. They're getting something. Sorry. Well, because people come into a sound bath situation with a group of people and they're kind of nervous because they know that they could be the one that passes out and is snoring and might be disrupting somebody else's experience. That is a possibility.
That's
but
funny.
you know
I've never
what?
had that thought, but you're right. You're right.
It happens every single sound bath I do. There's always one person, and it's great. And the thing for those people, just as a side note, I'm sorry, just know that more often than not, everyone else is in their own experience and do not hear you. I hear you. And I'm like, giving you high fives, sending you some love vibes, get it. But, and those who have been experienced the snoring from somebody else, they just hadn't been able to drop in at that moment or before that, and usually are able to go back into it. Usually. And we might give you a little love nudge if it's not harmonizing with the bowls, but it's okay. You're having your own experience, and we love that. But what a sound bath does, one, I always, at the end of a sound bath, end of any sound healing session, I always tell people to drink a lot of water because it does release toxins in the body. So it does, to go back to your question, it does still have an effect on you for a couple days after. But since it's getting things to move in the body, you're going to want to drink water. You're going to feel thirsty. I feel thirsty right now, just thinking about it.
Cheers.
Another thing that can happen is that you might have an emotional release. Sometimes you know why an emotional release could be you're crying, could be that you're really angry and frustration comes up sometimes. It doesn't mean that you had a bad experience. It just means you were suppressing something, and the sound created the opportunity for your body to relax into what you were not facing. And so that can happen. I am always available after a sound bath, by the way, for you to email me or for us to have a conversation about your experience, because I think it's irresponsible for someone who is facilitating one of these things to not offer that type of support. There are a lot of, all my sound healers out there you're doing really amazing work, and I don't want to discount it based on that statement, but I do feel that there's a responsibility that we have to make sure that people can talk about what their experience was. Yeah, if you want to. Because there's some things that can come up, and you're just like, what do I do with that now? What does purple mean? What does this vision mean? Or what does this feeling in my body mean? Why did I cry? I don't want you to be afraid of this experience. It's going to be a different experience every time you come and lay down and do this. There's also something that happens where it's balancing the left and the right brain. There's something called the corpus callosum that connects the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. So it's balancing that and creating more synapses across that, creating more oxygen flow. So this is amazing on so many levels. Brain function, memory. The brain is just
everything.
It is everything.
Intuitive as well. All of it. So I was holding on to a few words you said prior, which was that you were that girl that came into the classroom, didn't know the didn't know any of the verbiage, which I still don't know all that verbiage.
I'm still learning.
So I'm
Namaste.
feeling namaste where? What?
Namaste here.
Namaste here? Great, I would love that. I'm feeling that there's a journey that happened before this. Like you weren't always the sound healing girl. Before we have to wrap it up, like I don't want Lumineers leaving without knowing what catapulted you into getting into this. So what got you here? Is that a strange question to ask?
No, it's a really great question to ask, because I think that without that story, why am I doing this? And it's really because of that story. So all of my life, I'd been sick, on again, off again sick. I mean, 5 years old, yeast infections, strep throat, crazy skin stuff, migraines, you name it. On and off through all of my life. So I just thought that those were the cards that I was dealt. That was what I held in, and so I just lived life thinking that okay, these are the cards that I was dealt, and I'm going to put on a happy face, because nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's sick all the time. So fast forward to 28 years old, very specifically. All of my ailments, all of my sick became not my regular sick. I started losing my hair. I started losing the enamel on my teeth. I had lumps in my breasts. I'd always had issues with constipation, but this was like chronic. I had pulling pains in the back of my head.
But there's been no diagnosis throughout the 28 years? Why just so long without something?
There was no connection. It wasn't like I had strep throat all my life. It was like, okay, for these couple of years, you're going to have strep throat like every other month. or excuse me, every so many months. Migraines, it was just, okay, we're going to give you a pill for that because you're having a migraine. You're going to have a pill for,
everything that you were presenting to the doctor.
Right. And there's not really, when you're having a conversation with somebody about what's going on with you, you're not really thinking, okay, is there a connection to my skin problems and my migraines, or my migraines and my chronic constipation, or lack of memory and brain fog. So there's a study called epigenetics. So epigenetics is the study of how dormant genes can turn on and become active. So for me, I have had all of these ailments before. I had thinning hair before. I had teeth issues before, constipation issues before, skin issues before. But I had a really, really high stress moment in my life at 28 where everything turned on. So all these genes turned on at once. So yeah, it was a really, really tough time, and I was in bed for a month and in and out of the emergency room a couple times, and it took one of the emergency room trips, beautiful hospital gown, sterile environment, for my doctor at that time to say, Danielle, if we don't figure out what's going on with you, you're going down a really dark road. I'd never been scared about being sick. I'd never been scared about the migraines or constipation or, any of the stuff that would come up periodically throughout my life, consistently. I will say that, consistently throughout my life. But at this point, it was like my body was deteriorating at a really fast rate. And it was that statement that I was finally open to alternative forms of healing. I grew up military brat. I grew up on, basic American diet and, my very loving household, but it just wasn't talked about how food affects your body or how your relationships can actually affect you mentally, emotionally, and your decision making. And it just wasn't something that we talked about or an awareness. It wasn't in my, circle of friends. And it didn't ever seem accessible to me for one reason or another. And so and when I say I was open to alternative therapy at that time, it was because I had gone through just crazy chronic constipation. And I was like, I should go get a colonic. Nobody's really excited about going to get a colonic. But this is my first time stepping out of a hospital or
Traditional Western.
Exactly. Into a naturopathic office who the practitioner actually did colonics. And when I had my initial consultation with her, it was the first time in my life at 28 that I felt heard. That I cried so much in that session to just get it all out. And she's like, I just want to know everything that's going on. Everything. What's going on in your physical body? What's going on in your relationships? What's going on here, 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 and here? And I'm like, I don't know how this relates to constipation, but okay. And so,
but like listening to you explain that, I can see now where it comes from and how you respect your receiver of sound and how you follow through with them and how you listen and support them and respect them in their healing journey is you had it from someone else.
It's part of the healing process. People need to be heard. And so then she's like, all right, honey, we are not doing a colonic. And I was like, okay. She's like, because that would actually create more damage at that time. And she's like, I really believe that this is all food related. So we're going to put you on the elimination diet for a month. And I'm going to walk you through it every step of the way. And we're going to find out what this is. And at that point, I kind of felt like I had nowhere else to turn. There was no one that I could talk to about this that was making any sense of what was going on with me. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm going to be, it's either this or be 28 years old, bald, toothless, with chronic constipation for the rest of my life.
Sounds very attractive.
Yeah, and I'm just like, hey boys.
Which way did you go?
I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I went on the elimination diet for a month. It was extremely hard, and I went through some crazy ups and downs emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. I keep coming back to that because it's all of those aspects are important for your overall health, your overall wellness. I think it's really a holistic approach to looking at your outlook on life and how life is for you. So, so long story short, found out that it was a gluten allergy.
Severe gluten allergy.
Severe gluten allergy. I didn't know until a few months later that when gluten was out of my diet that there was a such thing as celiac disease. I never been tested for that because the test is you have to eat a lot of gluten. And then they go in and do a culture of your intestines and do a test. And then it's not always 100% telling you, yes, you have this, or no, you don't. But for my severity of intolerance, I would say that I am closer to that spectrum of celiac. So I take gluten out of my diet. And I experienced what healthy actually felt like for the first time in my life at 28.
Wow.
So there are a lot of emotions that come up around that because I'm so happy to finally have an answer, right?
Okay, so why didn't you go into nutrition? Why didn't you go hardcore teaching people about being gluten-free?
Great. Yeah, I know. This is so weird. This is so weird. So
she hauls in a beach cart full of bowls. These things aren't light at all.
I'm 5 feet tall, people.
Yes. You can't tell.
I went into the photography industry first. And, I'm like, when I transitioned out of the photography world, I thought, I'm not going to have to carry gear anymore. That was a big joke. I think it was preparing me for this. But so I felt really great. But then I actually started to get really angry. I got so angry because it took 28 years for me to figure out what was going on with me. 28 years for someone, for me to be open to going to see an alternative, doing alternative therapy. So that anger actually is what turned me into wanting to investigate other healing modalities. And so I'm like, okay, what is acupuncture? Okay, what is color therapy? Okay, what is, what can massage really do? And in all of that, I found sound healing. And at first I'm like, okay, dude, I don't know about this. I mean, I get it, but I don't know. And it was really, I allowed myself to have the experience because I was still like, okay, I need to know about all of these alternative forms of therapy. And then I was hooked, really. There's the science aspect to it. But then there's something else under all of that. Why didn't any of these alternative therapies seem accessible to me? Why did I feel that they were less than modern medicine?
Why? Did you ever find out?
I do know why.
You're gonna
for me anyway. And I think for a lot of people, the people who are attracted to me and coming to me for sessions or coming to my sound bath sessions is because I'm actually able to make it accessible to them. I dress a certain way, and so I'm able to relate to a broad group of people. I don't do incense in my sound baths or in my sound healings because unless it's in the very beginning or at the very end. Or we're doing some kind of workshop thing where it's, okay, yes, we're going to waft you. Because there's a lot of power to all of these elements. Mm-hmm. But the average person coming into this is not gonna be
it's
open to that.
Too far removed from their day-to-day routine.
Exactly. And then the language surrounding it. I love my woos. Love them. And I've learned so much from them. But when you are talking about love and light and higher vibration and higher consciousness and all of these words that are like, I can't touch it. Yeah. I don't know what that is. It doesn't make it accessible to this other group of people, this group of people that was me. So I want to find the other Danielle Halls out there who feel like they just have to accept the cards that they were dealt in life, whether that's, physically, relationships, wherever you are right now, whatever is going on right now, you can empower yourself to change that current reality. And that's something that I didn't know that I could do for 28 years. I create the opportunity through sound for you to go into stillness so that you can come face to face with yourself and have an awareness of what is blocking you and what is keeping you there, keeping you stagnant, so that you can then empower yourself, so you can choose to empower yourself to change your life. And that's also why that's why I chose sound as that vehicle.
I think you're allowed to drop the mic now. Just drop the mic. Because that was stunning. Drop the mallet. What's it called?
It's mallet, striking wand.
Drop the striking wand. I like that better. That was beautifully put. I'm telling you, we are all ready for you in 2018 to start the classes. I know you already do events. Mm-hmm. You have that written on your website, which is soundembrace.com. Lumineers, please go check it out. She does private sessions. Facebook on Wednesdays, Sound Embrace.
1 p.m.
Yes, at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to thank you so much for coming today. And I I'm going to beg you to stay behind and maybe give us a few how-tos. How to shop for a bowl, know what bowl you want, what are you attracted to, how to use them, store them, keep them, and let's get some sound rolling in this space.
We'll
Want to
get
play?
Get it vibing in here.
Yes! We're going to get it vibing. Thank you so much for being here. Do you want to sign us out? Remember, Lumineers, it's not woo-woo.
It's true. Thank you.
The lighter side with Jamie. The lighter side with Jamie. The lighter side.